Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Vanissia. This is the Woolly Worker Knitting Podcast, and today I am joining you for episode 35, I think, of the Woolly Worker Knitting Podcast. Although, to be honest, this feels like episode 1 of a new season, I guess. So, obviously I've been away for a while and I've not really posted anywhere, so I'll spare you the details if you're not interested and you're just here for the nitty content. I'll talk about all of that first, and then at the end we can do a chill little update and chat about what's been going on and just personal stuff if you're interested. But I just thought I'd get all the knitting done first. So obviously it's been a while since I've recorded. I'm completely out of practice. I've not prepared massive notes because that was just going to make the work like hard and a big task. So I thought that we could do this very chill and relaxed, and yeah, hope you bear with me. I hope that the lighting, sound, everything is okay and it's not distracting you from enjoying this episode. I thought it was kind of an episode, kind of a winter knitting plans. I don't know what I'm going to call this, but it's going to be chatty, and I'll obviously have cards and stuff on the screen as I'm talking about projects, if you find that helpful, and obviously the description will have all the links as always. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I recommend you watch other videos first to get an idea of what my channel is usually like. This episode probably won't be, I don't know, I guess as well produced as others. I'm still, I guess, learning the new environment. But without further ado, let's go. Let's talk about my winter knitting plans. Basically, I was doing a sample knit for Jing Fiber recently. I was a bit in a knitting slump, but I love to do samples, and I do like to do tests. I like having obligations, but not too many, and on my terms. So I had, obviously, like, not much on my knitting plate at the time, so I signed up. The sample was the Merry Neck by Petite Knit. I'll put a photo here of the pattern, and then I'll show a photo that Jing Fiber took of the final sample once they received it. It wasn't super enjoyable to knit for two reasons. Firstly, I thought that an accessory like the neck would be a lesser commitment than something like a cardigan, which was also something that they wanted a sample of. But the neck was just like so little knitting and so much fringe, and I did not enjoy doing the fringe at all. And then there was a big 20 centimeters or whatever of ribbed roll neck, and that also wasn't particularly enjoyable. The stockinette portion was just so small. The fringe was made with I-cords, and that also meant there were so many ends to weave in. So yeah, that was a hassle and not enjoyable and a chore. And then the other reason why it wasn't that enjoyable was because the sample was knitted in their Melted Baby Surrey base, which is really soft, really agreeable to touch. It's just a bit of a nightmare to knit with, to be honest, because it's really sticky and kind of loopy, and it's just the stitch isn't as smooth to achieve as it would be with like a just merino wool. The result is great because it's really dense and really fluffy, so even though they're being sold, I think, in 50-gram skeins, it's not like a mohair that you have to hold with something else, otherwise you get a really see-through fabric. This basically acted like a DK, if not more. I think the Nora neck, the Marie neck, it's in 4 or 4.5 millimeter needles, so with only just the one strand of the Melted Baby Surrey. So it can carry you through a lot. Like, the yardage is generous and you don't need to buy a lot to get quite an opaque fabric, but it comes at a cost, and the cost, I guess, was the enjoyment of the project. So all in all, didn't take too long to finish the project, and Jing Fiber were happy with the sample, and I really liked the collection that this was a part of. It was like the sort of Aurora Borealis night sky phenomenons inspired, and the whole thing is a fade. I think my blue was in the middle of the fade. I'm really tempted to get their first color, which is like a peachy variegated without too many speckles, but I don't know what I would do with it, so I've held off for now. I've not bought yarn basically in the last 6 months, except a couple of things that I'll show you. And yeah, it's been, I guess, kind of easy. A yarn ban, if you will, is hard to start, but then after a while it's kind of like, because you're on a streak, a streak of not buying, then it's easier to just say like, well, do you really want to break your streak for that? Like, imagine how good it'll feel if you just like keep going. So yeah. Anyway, so while I was doing this sample, I was getting a lot of inspiration for other projects, and I just couldn't do them. I was trying to really like stay focused on my obligation, and it was funny because I was in a bit of a slump, and I really wasn't knitting much. One, I didn't have much time, and two, I just like didn't have much want. And then the minute that I couldn't knit, then I really wanted to. So that's my advice if you're in a knitting slump, is just like forbid yourself from knitting, and then you'll probably want to. So I had a lot of ideas, and I just made a little list on my phone of like everything that I'm gonna do on the 1st of December once I post this sample. And then I started, and it was great. It felt really, really good to post that sample, and then I cast on like 3 new things. So yeah, that's kind of my introduction to my December knitting plans and how they came about. Basically just finishing some stuff that I had on the needles, and then starting some new things that are kind of December sensitive. So I'll just start in no particular order, I guess. First thing first, if you're wondering if I got a lot of knitting done during my break and if I have a lot to show, no, I absolutely don't. I think the only thing that you've not seen me finish is this Maggie cardigan by Petite Knit. It's in Cardiff cashmere, classic. It's amazing. It's obviously cashmere, 100% as the name implies, and I love this color. I think it is going to suit me so well in warmer weather, because I obviously can't wear this right now because it's short sleeved. The cardigan itself was quite enjoyable to knit. I really enjoyed that contiguous sleeve construction. Short sleeves, which were a joy to knit because it was done really quickly. And the fact it was a cardigan did kind of become a bother after a while. I think I may have cropped it a little bit. It'll be on my Ravelry if you are curious about things I cannot remember right now. And yeah, just a couple of ends to weave in and buttons to attach. So that's basically my mission for this December, is to attach some buttons on this. I think I was going to go for mother of pearl, but I'm not sure. Maybe just some little pearl white ones would go well as well, like the round ones. Or maybe just some small black ones. I'm not sure. I think there's maybe 8 holes. Yeah, I hope to have buttons in my button stash that will go, but if not, I'll just have to keep in mind that I need some, and I'll just wait until next time I am buying yarn somewhere or in person at a place I can buy buttons. But yeah, that was my only finished item, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually trying it on, styling it, and having buttons. Because right now it was satisfying to cast it off and block it, and it's really soft, but I've not really enjoyed this yet. The second thing I want to do is I want to finish the sweater that I've started for my boyfriend. This is the Hans Holm sweater by Petite Knit, and I'm knitting it in Woolly Knit Merino held double. I used a bit of that yarn to make my holly sweater last year for the green holly, and I thought I'd have enough for a sweater for a man held double, but I actually ran out of yarn, so that's a bit of a bummer. But I'm meeting my friend Sam today, and she's going to generously give me a bit of her yarn. She had it in like a lucky dip that we actually bought together to split like the shipping costs. And we just like each got a lucky dip, I think, and then we both picked colors that we preferred or something like that. So she got that green ages ago, and then now I guess I'm getting it to finish my jumper. So there really will not be much to say about this jumper at all, because it's the most basic sweater, very basic yarn, not made any modifications except one actually. So that's the yarn I've got left. I kept a bit on purpose because I'm gonna like basically hold that double with Sam's yarn to make sure that if there is a yarn lot difference, it won't show through like exactly as a split on the arm. But yeah, I'll show you the beast. Men's jumpers are always looking huge and long. Like this feels like a sweater dress. Ta-da! So yeah, that's it right now. It's quite heavy. So I'm knitting the size 2, and the only modification that I did was that after I finished the like body and sleeve increases at the raglan, there's a few rounds where you just increase on the body, and I just did a few more of those. So the sleeves are the exact same as size 2 in the pattern, but the body has maybe like 4, 6 extra stitches because size 2 was just a little bit too small and size 3 would have been a bit too large. I know my boyfriend Ross likes to have a bit more room, and he already has a sweater I knitted him that is a bit fitted, and I thought it'd be nice to see this kind of like sweatshirt fit for a different one for him. And yeah, he went for the double folded neckline. I had suggested to him if he wanted to just have a single one, and he said no. And the body is quite annoying, like that length of ribbing is behaving weirdly, but I hope that it'll block and stay flat instead of being all like lumpy. Like, see what I mean? It's like it flips when he's wearing it, but yeah, I hope it's gonna block. The color is really nice. It's got a little bit of yellow flecks spun into it, and I guess yeah, it looks quite muted as a green. It goes really well with his hair because he's got red hair, and the yarn is in merino. It's not the softest merino that I've ever touched. I think if you've had woolly knit before, you know. I think it's the appeal of it is that it's really affordable and cheaper than other merinos, but the merino isn't as soft as other merinos, but it's definitely softer than other wools, I guess. So yeah, that's my review of it. So not long to go at all, just do a little bit of sleeve, and I'm really hoping to basically finish this for Christmas, and that can be one of his Christmas gifts, even though it's not a surprise at all. He's tried it on loads and it fits really well. So really happy with this one. I was on a roll, but I really just needed that extra yarn. I think I was doing that thing where, because I was playing Yarn Chicken, I was really fast. Like I was knitting really fast because I wanted to see if I was going to run out of yarn, and I did, but it was motivating to keep going. Okay, so the next thing that I am doing that is really, really enjoyable, and I've been loving doing this in December, is a chink fiber advent, but it's the one from last year. So at some point in 2024, maybe in April or something, they did a big sale. I think it was maybe 20% off on their current stock, and what they had in stock was a bit of spare advents from the previous December, so December 2023. And this was a collaboration with Florence Sperling, who did the Scout mini shawl or shawl that you may have seen everywhere. It's kind of like a magnum opus, like really, really beautiful intarsia and color work piece of art. She has a lot of other shawl patterns, different techniques. This one she designed is a mosaic shawl, and the colors were dyed by Jing Fiber. So I really, really happily bought that kit, and then I had Ross wrap each skein individually, mini skein, and then I forgot about the colors, like I just wanted to surprise myself. And so here we are in December 2024, and I've got this like little advent gift from me to me about the pattern, and it's a bit of a shame because the pattern obviously has like a lot of photos. I guess Florence Sperling is one of those designers that has photos all throughout the pages. Like there's not a single page that doesn't have a photo of the finished item. For example, Petite Knit, she just has like one photo at the start, maybe one at the bottom, and then all the rest is text, which is also much more printer friendly. But oh well. So I'm getting spoiled every day looking at the pattern. The pattern itself is overwhelming at first, let's say. There's a million rules you've got to follow with mosaic knitting, because it's made with slip stitches, and like one round you need to do two rows to get like one line of color, basically, because you that's just how it works. So there's rules about how you've got to start with this color if it starts with like this square color, and then vice versa, and then are you carrying the yarn in front when you're slipping stitches or at the back? It depends on if you're on the right or the wrong side. If you're familiar with mosaic knitting and you've done at least one project before, which I've done that, then it makes sense and it's intuitive, and even though there's a lot of text and a lot of rules, it's not like you've got to always flip back to all of them, because you kind of know some of them by default, but I still find myself having to scroll through pages a lot. There's a few charts, a few like 4-round repeats, then the main instructions who tell you what section to go to. So there's a lot of traveling, and like I said, lots of pages of the finished item whilst I'm traveling through the pattern. So I obviously am quite familiar with how it's going to look at the end, but I'm still finding it to be a surprise to open the color each day. Another problem I've had with this pattern as an advent pattern is that, how to say this? Like, if it was a blanket that you were just doing like all throughout, it would be quite easy to just each day you open one skein and then you just knit that stripe on the blanket, and then it would be quite easy then, like each day is like one skein, one stripe on the blanket, and you could keep that rhythm all the way throughout December and have done even progress every day. But here, day one, if I open the number 1 skein, I could do like 3 rounds of the shawl, and you're starting at the smallest point and you keep increasing. So I had done nothing. Like, they were like 9 stitches on my needles. So then I wait for day 2, and then day 2 I could do like 5 more rounds. Again, talking 9-10 stitches. And then day 3 I needed to actually open 3 and 4. And then I do a bit more, then I needed to open 5 and 6. Like, so basically, and I know that the shawl is only going to get bigger and bigger. So basically, it, like, there's no correlation between the, like, day by day having one more skein to play with and the progress you can make on the shawl. So either I have to open, there's 10 colors, I open my 10 colors as I need them, and I'm trying to then knit the shawl by the end of December, or I wait for the actual days that I'm supposed to open those colors, but then I'll have so much work to do at the end of the month compared to the beginning of the month where I'm twiddling my thumbs. I hope this makes sense. Basically, I just think that it's like not the best designed system for an advent specifically, where you've got to open those like one by one, day by day colors. Like, the system is a bit flawed in that way, but the result is that the colors are really, really beautiful, and then the designer wasn't hindered in her ability to pair what she wanted to pair together. Like, she could pair day 8 and day 1 together without worrying about whether someone would have to wait until day 8 to finally get to that color. Whereas if she had to do it the same way that my blanket example was, then she basically would then have the colors all flow into one another, but she wouldn't have been able to make such fun combinations between them. So I think, again, it was a decision that someone took, and I can see why they took it. But if this had been like, I don't know, maybe that could stress somebody out, but I decided not to get stressed. I'm kind of just opening that as and when I need the colors, because my goal is to do this shawl by the end of December, and that's the fun. It's not as much about opening the individually wrapped things like the day I'm supposed to. So that's how I'm decided to play with that. So anyway, I've actually reached the point where I put this on a spare cord because I'm going to change to a longer cable. So it's all nice to show you. It's kind of rolling up a little bit, but here we are. So I'll show you this. So basically we've got like the slip stitch pattern, which looks like that, like checkerboard. And then we've got some mosaic charts, which then are different from one another. So that's like kind of like a hashtag sign. And then there's this like little square. I really like this blue and I like this purple. It's been really nice to see this grow. It's really satisfying, really addictive, because you just want to finish the chart because they're not big. But obviously, like, there's a lot more stitches now than there was at the start, so obviously this is taking much longer to do than this one. And it's always exciting still, even though like I've been spoiled with the colors like a little bit. It's still exciting to wait to see which 2 colors are going to be paired. So after this gold and blue, I don't know what's next. So yeah, really, really enjoying this project, and I can't wait to have it all finished. This might definitely be one of the things that I want to like display and hang as opposed to like wear it necessarily. The texture of it is also super, super fun. There's a lot of pearl ridges and little slip stitches. It's really beautiful, a work of art. And even though it was a little overwhelming to see the pattern have so many sections and pages, it wasn't that bad once you actually got into it. Okay, next plan for winter is that my boyfriend has a little tradition that we've built over the last 2 years, is he gifts me a Christmas yarn on Christmas, and then I can knit that up in December afterwards. So it's kind of maybe weird to do it that way as opposed to like knitting it on Christmas Day, but I just wanted to have like a festive yarn for the festive season as opposed to like on Christmas and then knitting the Christmas sock until January and then not really wearing it in January. So first year I got this like holly yarn by West Yorkshire Spinner, and then last year then I got this Bird Street yarn in this beautiful, beautiful variegated self-striping sock. I think it's going to be self-striping. It's got a bit of like stellina sparkles in them, I think you can see. And yeah, I think this is 400 meters and it's called Elf Service. And I'm super, super happy. Like I kind of chose it. Like I told him this is like, I love this. So he got it. And I was really looking forward all year to finally knitting with this. So my only thing that I'm deciding now, I'm gonna do a stockinette sock, but I don't know if I should have a contrast cuff, heel and toe, maybe 2 of them, maybe all 3, and what color to do. I guess white would be easy because then I don't have to worry about matching the shades, but obviously white for a sock is not the easiest to maintain and clean. I could do red or green, but I'd have to find the right shade. I think green might be fun because there's not that much in there, but I just have to see if I have a green for this. I'm probably going to do Fish Lips Kiss heel. My holly socks I made with my holly yarn they fit really, really well, so ideally I'd want to keep those measurements and that like heel placement. So I'm hoping to just copy that, and I'm looking forward to knitting this. And I'm really looking forward to see what Christmas year he gets me this year, because I've not identified any myself, so he'll really have to go out of his way to find something that he thinks is Christmassy or that is advertised as being Christmassy. Another thing I want to do, I don't have it with me, but there's basically a hat that I've been wearing loads this winter, and it's my Nette beanie by Sari Nordland from her Timely, Softly, Timeless Knits book. Love, 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 love that beanie. It fits so well, the yarn is lovely, and the cables are super plump and squishy, the shape of it, everything is great. And I realized that I have some leftovers from my Rue sweater by the Creabea in this beautiful blue. It's the same yarn weight. I think it'll be super nice and round and plump for cables. And I've got the perfect quantity to make it. It's basically a little less than 1 skein. It's the fiber company Lore in blue. And I just thought that would be fun, because the only thing I don't love about my Nette beanie right now is the color. It's quite neutral and muted and faded, and I think it'd be fun to have like the same accessory but just in a little bit of a pop of color. And I just, depending on the outfit I'd be wearing, it would be nice to see different combinations. So I know that I could do this beanie quite fast. Last time I did a provisional cast on basically, and then I did all the cables and the crown decreases. Then I picked it back up and worked my way down to the rib and finished with a tubular bind off, because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough with the 1 skein of yarn I had to do all the ribbing that I had to do. But it all worked out and I had a little bit to spare. So I could have just started normally at the bottom and done it all the way up, and it would have been less hassle because the provisional cast on for 2x2 rib was just a little bit annoying. So this time I'm just going to start the pattern and just do it exactly as written. So that's something I'm really looking forward to, because it's just something that I don't have to think whatsoever, and that's just like really great as a project to have. Sometimes it's just something that all the decisions have been made, there's no stress or worry or questions, and it's just follow this recipe. So that's going to be exciting, and maybe something I could bring on my travels. I'm going to Belgium to see my family later this month, So that could be my travel project, if not the sock that I've just talked about, depending on if I've like basically I'm just going to start the project before leaving and then see what is mindless to work on, because the sock would just be stuck in it, but I've got that heel thing and measurements I want to worry about, and then the beanie is cabled, which has a little charge, but that might actually be easier to remember than like having to always measure for the sock. Talking about beanies, I went to the Glasgow School of Yarn Festival in October with my boyfriend, and the only thing that I bought there, apart from a couple of stitch markers, was some yarn from a company called Wool Decounted, and this is vintage 23. It's from fibers from Polworth, Romney, and Black Shetland sheep, and it's just a couple of DK skeins. We've got Shepherd's Delight and Natural Grey. So Ross chose them for a beanie for himself. At first I think we were hesitating between like this one and a navy, but the red, just something about it was very Christmassy and festive and unique, and I think, like I was saying, having a nice pop of color in a winter accessory is just something that's a little bit more fun when we've got like grey, rainy days. The yarn is really nice and plump and soft. It's a fiber I've not worked with before, I think Polworth and Romney, I don't think so. And then the Shetland I know and familiar with. You can see kind of like some black speckles that have been spun in the light grey. And yeah, I think those colors are so beautiful together. The color selection of this brand was quite limited, but in a really good way, because it was just like, I don't know, maybe 9 or 12 colors, and they all paired so well with each other that you just couldn't have gone wrong. I think the other brand that reminds me of is John Arbon, their sock yarn. They all are so well coordinated, and it's a joy to imagine color combinations and palettes. So the hat I'm going to do, I forgot the name of, but it's from Caitlin Hunter. She has a sweater in that color work motif, and I think the Bergen hat and Bergen sweater. And so she has the color motif that she then matched on a hat. And we were just browsing on Ravelry, like at the festival. I just browsed hats by like Hot Right Now, and then that came up, and Ross was like, oh yeah, like that one is nice. The modification we're going to do though, because that hat is just like a ribbed brim, we're going to just kind of do the Oslo hat brim instead, so like a triple folded stockinette brim, and then the color work. And again, this is a little bit tricky because I want to make sure that I've got enough yarn. I think because the Oslo is a triple folded brim, a part of it is hidden and will never be shown. So I can use any DK yarn for that, and then I can save these two for the parts of the beanie that are facing basically people. But I want to make sure that I'm calculating this right. Overall, the stakes aren't crazy because it's a small project, and if I get it wrong, I can just unravel and start again. Same for the hat size or shape or height. All of it is modifiable, customizable. Ross already has an Oslo hat, so I can use that for like the width and height measurements for like, am I on track for something that he likes? So that's good, but still, this is a project that maybe I've not done immediately after coming back from the festival, because I knew that it was going to be a little bit of thinking involved, and I just wasn't ready in the mind space for that. Okay, so still on the sort of gift theme, last Christmas I got some yarn from Ross's mum, and it was this Gepard Eco Cashmere yarn in a color that, as it turns out, is incredibly difficult to find. She got this at the local yarn shop in Edinburgh, Be Inspired Fibers, in person. And I was trying to buy a second skein online to make something like a hat or a scarf, like some kind of accessory, but nobody was selling that color. And I just never was near Be Inspired Fibers, didn't want to pay for shipping, so I just thought, fine, I'll just knit something with literally just that one skein. Because the yardage is quite small for something that's pure cashmere. Yeah, you couldn't really do much with only one ball. I could have paired it with a different yarn, I guess. This is like a DK weight, but I just wanted something simple, and I didn't want to have to think too hard. So I just found a little mini scarf pattern, and again, I might just like hang this on a bag or just tie it around my neck for comfort, because it is really soft. And in the end, I found a pattern that I thought would work really well with this plumpy, lush, round yarn, and it's the waffle loop scarf by Other Loops. And then Ross gifted me the pattern. So gifted yarn, gifted pattern from a lovely family, and it's a nice little comfort project that is just really happy and brings a lot of nice feelings. The waffle pattern isn't coming through like in every single light because the yarn is actually quite dark, but when it does show, it looks really cool. So I think it's quite a subtle pattern for this color, but it's quite effective. So yeah, I think you can see it in this light. Basically, you've got those like little waffle squares that are made with basically just like knit stitches and purl stitches is all that this is. Yeah, this shows really well actually. So yeah, I really like it. I've never done this waffle stitch before. I will say again, new designer to me, following this pattern, not what I'm used to. I think the edge stitch is being written as EST, like, which is just like every time I'm like, what's this abbreviation? And then there's like increases on one side, straight on the other, and then there's a little bit of a chart and a little bit of pattern repeats, and I'm just finding it a little difficult to get in the groove, but obviously I've not done much at all. So yeah, I just need to hopefully continue and commit this pattern to memory, but if not, it really isn't that big a project because I'm just going to increase until I reach the halfway point of this yarn, then I'm going to decrease. And I can see this being done really quickly, which is why I don't feel like I've got too much on my plate with all of these things I've shown you. I feel like most of them are small, like a sock, a hat, a mini scarf. The big one definitely is that shawl that, like I said, because I can't rely on just doing a little bit every day according to the pattern, I feel like I've got to really front load it because I know that they're only going to get bigger, the rows. But anyway, you've heard those rambles. Yeah, really happy with this little scarf and like the little bumps of the waffle. I think it looks amazing, and again, I can't wait to then have it finished and take some nice photos in different lights to highlight the texture of this. It's really satisfying texture wise. And then the last pattern I want to talk about is a Christmas jumper for me, but I'm not going to have it finished by Christmas. I don't think there's a way to do that in a stress-free way. It's the Foxberry pullover by Sari Nordland, and I'm doing it in yarns from Holstgarn. This is Titicaca in Emerald, probably, and then this is Holst Super Soft in Kingfisher. I bought them separately because I had this color combination in mind, and then one day I saw this one being available somewhere, and then I saw this one being available later, so yeah. And then I guess it's kind of, at first I was worried that they were quite different. I didn't know how they would look like when they were knitted together, and even now I'm still a little bit doubting that this is working out great together, because it's a little too variegated, and the pattern I'm doing has things going on in the yoke. So yeah, I don't know, you tell me if it's too busy. It's hard to tell right now because the yoke has not had much knitting done. The pattern is normally started with a double folded color that you knit together with the edge and you keep going, but I decided to do a single color instead, and so I did a tubular cast on, twisted rib all the way, and then started the yoke. So that's the first time I'm doing that and not doing a double folded neck. The pattern looks great, and I knew they were bubbles, but I didn't realize that they were so frequent. So every like 4 or 5 rounds you have to do like a lot of bubbles, and it's slow going. Like I was doing a lot, and then I realized I was only on row 6 of the chart, and it's again only gonna get bigger. So this project I thought was going to be really fun and really joyful, but it's actually quite effortful, and it takes a long time to do one round, but the way it's structured and the way that the chart is going, you can see how it will be satisfying to like reach the next sections. So I think it'll still have that like addictive knit feel. I got this little stitch marker at the Glasgow School of Yarn, and I thought that it looks really great with the colors of the sweater. And again, I don't have anything in that green. I chose this pattern for my Christmas cast on, Christmas knit, because I thought that this was quite a Christmassy color. But yeah, there's no way I'm gonna have this finished by Christmas, but maybe next Christmas it'll be something to wear. And it's nice to do something for me because a bunch of those other things are for other people. And it was something different than just the plain stockinette of that hand-holm sweater that I was working on for a long time. The yarn is really nice to work with. The super soft isn't that greasy or rough like I heard people say. And then the Titicaca is like a lace alpaca that I'm using as a substitute to mohair because I'm still trying to like gather data and information on all the mohair substitutes out there. And I'm really liking it. It feels really delicate and it's really soft and it's got a tiny bit of a halo from like the alpaca like long hairs, but it's not fuzzy. But yeah, I think I'm hoping that this yarn combination is a good choice for this kind of pattern that has textures and bubbles and lace. And I think only time will tell because it's just too early right now for how much chart I've done. So yeah, that's it for the things I'm currently doing and what I'm planning to do in the next month. Like I said, there isn't any more finished items or any acquisitions apart from those 2 little skeins of yarn at the Glasgow Festival of Yarn. So if that's all you wanted to hear from me today, then yeah, that's it. That's all the nitty content. But I will now talk about like why I was gone and what's gonna happen in the future. So if you're not interested, that's fine. Thanks for watching this. So yeah, hi guys. It's been a while and it feels really weird right now to be sitting and talking to the camera. I feel like I was definitely out of practice and probably not watching the camera. But yeah, main reason why I stopped was because Ross and I bought a house together. So that was happening over the summer and then we moved in September. So that was a really busy time and quite a stressful time as well. And I wasn't really knitting much because I was basically just, my knitting time was being taken by planning time for all the house stuff and like thinking of decor and things we had to do and budgeting, and like I was just really using all that creative energy into like house energy. And then yeah, just podcasting was the last thing on my mind. Then we moved and again that led to a lot more busyness in terms of having workers come around, getting quotes, planning for things, having little problems here and there and having to fix them. And again, just so much planning and designing and decor. I've been watching so many decor videos as opposed to knitting podcasts. Like I feel like it's a nice new little hobby of mine that I'm going to have. I've been painting things and refurbishing some furniture, baking and bringing it to the neighbors. So it's been really fun, and my energy has just been taken so much by this new project in my life, which is my house. And then on the other hand, just not really being on social media, not doing podcasts, not watching podcasts, not being on Instagram, I just realized I wasn't missing it. Like I didn't feel like I was missing out on stuff, and I didn't feel like I had this need to come back to it. And I was reflecting on that and just thinking, well, if I don't feel this huge gap in my life, there's not really a point of like forcing it. And so that's why it took so long to do something about it. And then when I was actually feeling a bit of want to come back and film, I was just having a bit of like a blockage, and I just felt self-conscious and not confident. And it was just like that snowballed a little bit, and every time I wanted to sit down I just felt pressured and anxious. So yeah, and as always, just like a bit of perfectionism over how I look, or the projects I'm going to talk about, or my background, video quality, podcast quality, Instagram photo quality. Like it's just, there's so many things I want to do right and in the right way, and in the way that I imagine, and just so many times I try to do something, it falls short of that standard, and I know that the solution to that is to lower the standard and accept something lower, which is what I'm doing today. Trial by fire. I'm filming with my front camera. The background couldn't be worse. It's dark outside, and I wasn't really prepared like I usually am for showing projects and things. And I'm hoping that the feedback I'm going to get from that is that this is okay with you guys and this is what you guys want, and you'd rather have a poorly made video rather than no video at all. And obviously, if the feedback is not that, if the feedback is no, please be better next time, then at least I'll know that and it won't just be in my head. But yeah, I think this is really what I'm trying to tell myself, is it's better to try and fail than not try at all, or not fail, but you know what I mean. Like just that philosophy of like it's better to clean for 5 minutes than not clean at all, and all of those other things where sometimes because you just have too big of a standard, you just don't do the thing at all, and that's worse. So yeah, in terms of future videos, I don't know, basically because I'm still very, very busy with the house. I have way less time for knitting, so there's definitely not going to be a podcast episode every 2 weeks like there was before, because you would just only see like 5 rows being done. And I just don't have the energy or motivation for those other types of videos like pattern roundups or vlogs or tutorials or anything. So it really will just be the podcast that I want to do from now on, and I think I'll just podcast when and if I have things to show and talk about, such as finished items. I've got so much yarn that obviously I was very aware of while moving across town, but yeah, so I want to definitely use up my stash, and that's still very exciting to me. I'm still super looking forward to using all of those things and all those projects I've planned. I still want to make them, so that's also why there's not really going to be any new content, because all the yarn I'm going to be using in the next few months you've already seen on the podcast at some point or another, either as an acquisition or as a plan for the future. So this is going to basically lead to a lot of slow content, which I'm looking forward to. I've also reflected so much on my relationship with consumerism and social media and other people, and I just really, really want to stay away from being another person who advertises things to you. I'm so tired of going online and just like social media is just one big ad nowadays, and it's really tiring. And I would like my videos to be a break of that kind of stuff to you, because I'd like to see more of that in the stuff that I watch. So that's why I want this to just be a person talking to another person, and that's it. Which is why I think the direction of this podcast is going to really just kind of go to a more grounded, relatable, I hope, down to earth spot, and that's also maybe why there'll be less production and showmanship, and it'll be less of a performance, and it really will just be as if we were meeting up for a coffee and I was telling you what I was doing lately. So yeah, I hope that means I can do more videos than not, and sooner than in the next 6 months. But I'd really love to hear your thoughts then on like just that, I guess. As you can see, I'm a bit nervous. But thank you so much, by the way, to all the people who messaged while I was gone and left comments and like asked where I was. I won't reply to all of them, but like yeah, I read them all, and thank you so much for checking in on me. That's really lovely. I hope that you have all been doing well in the last few months. Maybe you've also had big changes in your life, hopefully for the better. And yeah, I'll just love you and leave you. If you wanna like watch more of my stuff, like I said, my past videos are on YouTube. If you want to see past photos, it's on Instagram, and project details, it's on Ravelry at thewoollyworker, all the links below. I probably won't post much on Instagram because that's still one thing that I just never got a huge amount of joy from it. It was quite stressful to take perfect photos, and the Instagram sort of like engagement is really not great for like the effort that it takes, and I just spend less time there basically, and I just think I'd rather just post photos on Ravelry and on my YouTube, like B-roll, because that's just less pressure. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this was a great video for you guys, and I'll see you next time. I hope we can chat a bit in the comments, because I've missed talking to you. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.